ISIS, Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, also known as ISIL, Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant, is a Sunni jihadist organization with a particularly aggressive ideology that claims religious control over all Muslims and proclaims itself an empire. It was inspired by Al-Qaeda but was subsequently openly dismissed from the organization. ISIS symbolizes a new jihadist strike, a new wave. In comparison to ISIS' spectacular ascent, Al-Qaeda Central, the former major entity of global jihadism or Salafi jihadism, the two terms are used interchangeably to refer to violent religious activities of the Al-Qaeda strain. Appears insignificant. It had less than 3,000 fighters and no territory, a borderless, stateless, international social movement on its own when it was at its most powerful in the late 1990s.
The influence and the model of the Islamic State are expanding. Even in many Muslim nations where the Islamic State does not have a significant presence, the area is becoming more unstable as a result of the radicalization of these nations' people and the fostering of sectarianism. The first issue of ISIS is ISIS and Al-Qaeda. More than merely a struggle for supremacy inside the jihadist movement, the conflict between the Islamic State and Al-Qaeda is multifaceted. Ayman al-Zawahiri finds the development of the Islamic State to be even more terrifying when Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, the head of the Islamic State, rejected Al-Qaeda's rule and subsequently proclaimed a caliphate. These two organizations now fighting for the movement's essence rather than just its leadership. In territory it controls, the Islamic State uses mass execution, public beheadings, rape, and symbolic crucifixion displays to terrorize the population into submission and purify the community, while Al-Qaeda favors a more gentler approach. Next issue is between ISIS and the United States. After being deceived by the 11th of September attacks, the United States improved its counter-terrorism efforts. According to McIntosh, United States plans have included creating multilateral coalitions, deploying military force, and weakening ISIS capabilities. There are three strategies to fight the ISIS. Firstly, President George W. Bush proclaimed a war on terror and also created new Homeland Security to be in charge of domestic security as a new government agency. Secondly, the United States government has a contract that authorizes the use of military force, which is the Authorization for the Use of Military Force, AUMF. Thirdly is Obama declared the creation of a large international alliance with 65 member nations with military support, which primarily contributing critical air power to combat ISIS that then weakened the ISIS finance.
Next, I will present about the factor of the outbreak. There is three factors that can be highlighted. The first factor is ISIS want to govern and control Iraq's territory. The second factor is ISIS want to spread their ideology, and the third factor is ISIS have fund and adequate resources to continue its activity. Moving on to the first factor, which is ISIS want to govern and control the Iraq territory. ISIS took an action by controlling three districts of Iraq, which is Fallujah, Mosul, and Tikrit. In Fallujah, ISIS occupied the city from Al-Qaeda and Iraq's government. ISIS also attacked and showed the video attacking the military on the social media. As a result, more than 100 people were killed and injured because of the shoot by the ISIS military. While in Mosul, ISIS robbed the bank and crushed the local enterprise and collect money from business owners. Besides, they also managed the money from farmers to support their militaries and financial campaign. As a result, most people in Mosul become unemployed. ISIS also trespassed the factory and sold the machine and equipment to the neighbor countries. Besides, ISIS also controlled the education system in Mosul. Most of the primary school students need to learn and support ISIS radical view. In addition, women need to become a wife for their military, and they were prohibited to learn science and engineering subject. Meanwhile, in Tikrit, ISIS attacked and battled with Tikrit between 26 to 30 June 2014. They attacked Tikrit because it is the hometown of Saddam Hussein, who is the former president of Iraq. Moreover, on 11 June, ISIS killed almost 1,000 cadets of Iraqi soldiers at Tikrit. Thus, it is clear that one of the factors of the outbreak is ISIS want to govern and control the territory of Iraq. Secondly, the factor of the outbreak is ISIS want to spread the Islamic State ideology. The central doctrine of ISIS is they believe that Syria is the last location of the final war before the day of the judgment. For example, ISIS believe that the final battle will happen between God and evil in Syria. In 2013, after the recruiting the military, ISIS started to proclaim itself as the Caliphate or the global Islamic empire. However, they use violence and coercion to spread their message. Some of the violent activities are sexual violence against women. ISIS justify that the fighter is not considered as sinner because women are the lowest in the social hierarchy. In addition, ISIS also consider themselves as Sunni Muslim and reject the concept of nation state and nationalism. Lastly, ISIS used the concept of jihad and hijrah. Jihad can be defined as struggle, while hijrah can be defined as migration of the caliphate. However, ISIS misused the concept of jihad and hijrah by attacking the people who live in Syria. The factor of the outbreak is ISIS have adequate funds and resources to continue its activity. According to a Baptist, ISIS is the wealthiest terrorist group with 2 million of funds. For example, ISIS has enough cost for military equipment, training, civilian, bus services, weapons, and technology. In addition, ISIS get the fund and resources from donation or revenue, local criminal, funding and kidnapping activity. Besides, ISIS controls the oil revenue from Iraq and Syria. ISIS fighters control many of Syria's oil fields, mainly in the eastern region bordering in Iraq. So, it can be concluded that there are 3 factors of the outbreak.
It is undeniable that the emergence of ISIS into the world in the past has had a huge impact on all countries. Their widespread influence, especially through social media, is very disturbing and worries every corner of the country. However, if we can look back, there is an advantage we can gain from the arrival of ISIS. The emergence of ISIS gives an advantage to the countries of the world by its existence and establishment of diplomatic relations to strengthen defense. This is because as every country wants their national security to be guaranteed, as part from the emergence of the spread ISIS either through cyberspace or overt aggression. Thus, there is an occurrence of efforts and cooperation between countries to eradicate the existence of ISIS. For instance, in the year of 2015, Singapore and Malaysia discussed the need to work together and step up efforts to address the ISIS threat. Hence, the purpose of the cooperation is to deal with the dangerous terrorists, especially ISIS, from attacking and move freely. In addition, with a network of diplomatic relations, the government will be more careful and able to ensure that they invest the country's economy
in the right country. This is because the country's administrators want to be involved with any terrorist that will threaten the stability of the country, especially the country is in the developing phase. Investing with countries that support terrorism, especially ISIS-X, will be to the detriment of the country as well as a sign of support for these terrorists to continue to move widely. Therefore, the country will be more careful in choosing countries to invest and help generate the national economy while maintaining strict national security of Malaysia. Moving on to the next point, which is improving the efficiency of the National Defence Department. The social site intruders have wide access in various forms in order to spread and further expand their wings of violence to every country. Unfortunately, with the dissemination of information related to ISIS on social media, Malaysia's National Defence Department can identify and detect the existence of ISIS more easily. For instance, in 2018, Malaysian police and other enforcement agencies have foiled a total of 19 terrorist plans in the country between 2013 and 2017. Deputy Home Minister Datuk Nur Jazlan Mohamad revealed, for the same period, a total of 369 Daesh militant suspects, including 87 foreigners, had been detained. Last but not least, besides the spread of ISIS terrorists, it is also undeniable that other cyber terrorism is also being and has been taking place in our country. Therefore, this uninvited arrival led to the creation of a policy to eradicate and prevent their arrival from continuing to plague the people. For example, a cyber security policy was implemented in response to the expansion of online dangers that are putting the country's e-sovereignty in jeopardy. In order to ensure that the CNII is safeguarded at a degree that is proportionate to the risk faced, Malaysia has implemented a comprehensive cyber security strategy known as the National Cyber Security Policy (NCSP). Thus, Malaysia's cybersecurity is currently regarded as a force to be reckoned with 4 years after the NCSP was implemented.
ISIS has brought many disadvantages toward the world, where it's bringing negative perspective toward Islam, increasing global oil market, and also as a threat to national security and stability. Where, first of all, how ISIS is at disadvantages that bring negative perspective to Islam. As you can see, the act of terrorism itself that related to Islamic religious group is not a new issue that happen all around the world, which Islam terrorists starting to increase in 21st century, along with the rise of the third world consumerism and global economic. As you can see, for example of some terrorists that claim fighting for Islam is Osama bin Laden, Al-Qaeda and Hamas. It includes the incident of bombing, assassination and random shooting at the public, which bring thousands of deaths and injuries to the innocent people. It also includes Islamic State, Iraq and Syria. There is ISIS, where the incident of Jim Foley, an American journalist and reported beheaded on 19 August 2014, was uploaded on YouTube by ISIS, where the video goes viral on the internet to incite fear to all people around the world as an action to provoke the USA government. Therefore, the type of incident and cruel action taken by ISIS has successfully in creating a negative perspective of Islam to the point of being hated and fined, as well as creating Islamophobia and seriousness in the West. According to OIC, Islamophobia is a combination of fear, hate and prejudice against Islam, against Muslim, as well as against anything associated with the religion. Since the last 2 decades, Islamophobia keep growing in some part of the world throughout intensive campaigns and public disclosures disseminating of fear of Islam, and through significant number of incidents targeting Muslims. Another disadvantages brought by ISIS is the increasing in global oil market price, where for the country that rich in oil crude such as Iraq, the petroleum industry is wanted to their country to ensure that the crude oil production is able to contribute to the income flow stability. However, the crises such as political issues, war or trade war arise in crude operation countries, especially able to affect the market and crude oil price. Iraq is one of the world crude oil producer countries, according to organizations of the petroleum exporting countries, or PEC. After Saudi Arabia, Iraq came second as the largest producer of crude oil, and with estimation of 4.74 million BPD as the world's sixth major oil producer, despite often involved in various issues. However, in 2013, the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, ISIS, have managed to controlling most of the territory of Iraq and Syria with several million citizens in just a few short time. Also, the lead of the domination, it also lead to the domination of oil wells in certain area. In June 2014, the Brent crude oil price which is a good metric of global prices, hit the highest level since ISIS conquered Mosul. The fight has threatened some of the Iraq's other oil infrastructure, including a pipeline that can deliver 600,000 barrels of oil per day from Kirkuk to the Turkish port city of Ceyhan. Due to the attack, the pipeline has been damaged in 2013 and was offline receiving repair. Another disadvantage bring by ISIS is as a threat to the national security and stability, where Malaysia is a multicultural and multi-confessional country that consists of various races, religions and beliefs. And Islam as a Malaysia official religion has been adopted by majority of Malaysian community. Therefore, Muslim citizens in Malaysia are no exceptions to being the target of ISIS ideology influence. Moreover, the advancement of technologies and the globalizations, it is easier for the ISIS to spread their jihadist ideologies and propaganda in their attempt to restoring the Caliph system through social media all around the world. Therefore, the propaganda received a handful of Malaysians' support, as an intelligence report shows that in 2014, that 30 Malaysians has arrived in Iraq and Syria to join ISIS from the influence of Usra and media shows here. Since Malaysia consists of various ethnic and religious, ISIS influence in Malaysia is considered a threat to national security and stability, as the spread of ISIS ideology of violence against in Malaysia could endanger the Muslim and non-Muslim that now harmonically live in Malaysia. Not only in Malaysia, but it's also including other Asian countries such as Indonesia. For example, there has been at least 29 terrorism attacks and 25 conspiracies that has been successfully defeated from 2019 until today, that mostly involve small group of individual members that drive by the ISIS itself.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, Doctor. My name is Ilman Hakim. My matric number is 2019476004. In my part, I will share about several recommendations to prevent ISIS. Okay, firstly, providing military support to our partners. Instead, the US military and its coalition partners, which included 29 countries that send military help, play a supporting role mainly by sending important air power to battle operations. For example, ISIS 2014 offensive was stopped by air power, which saved Baghdad, Erbil and Kobani. Then ISIS cash reserves and oil business were hit by strategic airstrike, which hurt the group's finance without the help of coalition air power, Iraq and Syrian allies. Without the help of coalition air power, they would have been able to retake territory from ISIS. This is because coalition plans provided vital intelligence and accurate strikes, as well as boosted the confidence and motivation of allies fighting a dangerous enemy. Okay, secondly, stop funding money to ISIS. This partnership will be very important. There are a number of things that can be done, such as boosting intellectual ability collaboration with Kurdistan and Iraqi teams to develop oil members, and optimizing collection on the amounts and cost of oil that facilitators and brokers are trying to smuggle, to keep a basic situational awareness of ISIS financial capabilities as a sort of early warning and recognizing and tracking all external contracts for places around the territory that is controlled by ISIS. Any of these options could be chosen. Okay, thirdly, blocking the flow of foreign fighters. Over the past 3 years, a big part of the regime's plan to defeat Daesh or ISIS has been to stop the flow of foreign fighters. There have been big steps forward, such as more than 69 countries have laws that make it illegal to join a terrorist group outside of one's own country or to travel outside of one's own country to join a terrorist group. Other than that, at least 70 countries have arrested or put on trial foreign terrorist fighters or people who helped them. Over 25,000 profiles of foreign terrorist fighters have been sent to Interpol by more than 60 countries and the UN. By making this shared resource stronger, law enforcement agencies all over the world will be able to find and stop foreign terrorist fighters' transit networks. Okay, fourthly, addressing the humanitarian crisis in the region. While the ideas and dreams of the unity of the Ummah are coming through, the movement of Islamic organization needs to move forward to help solve the humanitarian crisis in the Islamic world today. Several Islamic groups that work to make this noble mission a success should be praised for their hard work. For example, ABIM, an organization that helps people in need, and the Global Peace Missions (GPN) have set up the Lifeline for Syria, which needs help from everyone. But duties and responsibilities of this size cannot make much of a difference without the government as the main sponsor. The government's most important job right now is to find these different humanitarian groups and organizations, coordinate the work of international relations, and give them a large national welfare fund to help them do their volunteer work. Okay, last but not least is exposing the true nature of ISIS. One of the things that the government, non-governmental parties and other organizations must do is show the public how ISIS really feels. The government can try to stop ISIS in many ways. One way is through education, which can teach students about the bad things ISIS does. Other groups can hold protests or first-time talks about how the ISIS extremist group really feels about the community. So only then will Malaysians, especially Muslims, not be swayed by their fight, since the militant group's actions and behavior don't reflect the true morals and ways of Islamic Jihad. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you for listening.
In a nutshell, ISIS has their own agenda and belief that is totally contradict with Islam. They believe what they did are based on Islam, but actually they are not. People should know how to differentiate the true Islam and ISIS. Islam prohibits violence and Islam also asks us to respect women, but what ISIS did totally different from what the Islam told.